All right. Hey, I appreciate you letting me come in and watch you teach. I'm sorry that I ended up leaving town and had to do this virtually with you as opposed to face. But if you, did, I just want to, how do you feel as though the lesson went?
Yeah, so no problem doing it virtual, especially in today's times. We're all kind of used to that. But overall, I thought the lesson went really well. Thought the students were engaged, which is important because factoring is a really big fundamental of algebra, and you're going to need that a lot in pre-cal and beyond. So overall, I thought it went well. I thought they were engaged in the lesson. They saw the value and the importance of it. And I thought most of them made a lot of progress in mastering the standards and the goals for the day.
I was going to ask you next, that the objective was that they factor trinomials using grouping. As you know, obviously, throughout the lesson, you feel that they um, met. You do feel at the end as though they met that goal at the end of class.
Yeah, I mean, mostly, you're probably never going to get 100% mastery, especially on one of your first couple days of
Mhm.
instruction. But I definitely felt like most of the class was on the right track. Um, especially on like first day, I want them to make sure they understand the process that we're trying to go through, and the practice of actually carrying out the steps is what comes later. But I definitely think that we had some steps listed for them to follow, some color coding to help clarify it, and I really felt like that helped them understand the process that we need to go through.
Yeah, I know my classes, the color coding helps out, especially for students who don't know their times tables as well.
Hmm.
And knowing their times tables with factoring is makes it much easier if you know them. However, a lot of the kids, unfortunately, don't. A lot of mine rely on a calculator too much as opposed to knowing their times tables. But I know I saw you discussed a lot of the reasoning with the kids, and I know there were some kids that you worked with. They had a problem where I think the A value was much larger than a one. So what and how you prompted them, just kind of can you tell me about like what you were trying to do there with it when you were talking to them with that?
Yeah, so it's kind of like you said. One of the most common issues when factoring is um, we struggle with multiplication. They're not with the ease and the access to calculators. Memorizing your times tables has kind of become something that's lost among a lot of students. So they feel overwhelmed when they're given that kind of decision of they have to determine what multiplies to give you a times c but adds to give you b when you're factoring by grouping when a is not one. So I try to teach them a process, like a thought process of well, let's just start at one. A times c is in that exact problem you're talking about. I believe it was 12. I said, well, what multiplies to give us 12? We start listing those factors. So I try to give them the tools to solve any problem rather than to just give them the answers to that specific problem. And usually they don't like that at the beginning, but hopefully they're grateful for it at the end. Kind of increase their problem solving and kind of give them the tools they need to carry on afterwards.
Yeah, I've had students in the past who come up to me and they want me. I remember a girl one time, especially years ago, want me to give her the answer to a problem, and I was like, no, go back to your desk, sit down there, look here in the book. You'll see how to do the problem. Then tomorrow on the test, you're gonna remember this conversation. You're gonna look at me and smile because you remembered how to do it. And sure
Hmm.
enough, that helped her recall. And then on the test, she smiled at me because she did it. So that's a big part of help finding ways to help them remember things, and
Yeah.
not just giving them the answer.
Yeah.
Do you think this lesson could be done with a flipped classroom, possibly?
Maybe, because it's to do that, I think it's imperative that they got to understand that ultimately what you're solving for, right, are like the roots or the intercepts. So if you're knowing that, maybe you could use like a tool like Desmos to kind of work backwards and let them find out, find factoring. But I do think maybe specifically factoring when A is not one might be a little difficult to flip. Maybe
Mm,
some more advanced students could. But I think it maybe with like if I posted maybe some sort of like guide video or just somewhere to start them off with, I think that could be a good strategy to try to employ in the future.
The thought thing was, again, that was really, really good. Is there anything, like, let's say a year from now, you're reteaching, or you had a class that was behind, is there anything that you would change possibly, moving forward in the lesson, or that you might want to do a little differently? I mean, just, just kind of a self-reflection. There may not be, just, kind of anything possibly.
Uh, maybe this is counterintuitive to common thinking, but I would really probably talk less. I'd probably try to get through kind of my teacher-led section a little faster and let them have some more independent practice because, as you know, right, it always seems to make perfect sense when I'm doing it or when you're doing it, but when they get that independent practice, that's when it kind of becomes real for them. So I would like to probably provide them a little more opportunity for that in the classroom, so it's uh, maybe a little more safer place to struggle than maybe when they're at home. They feel a little more helpless if they don't quite understand something. So maybe just quickening my pace a little bit would be something that I think I could probably improve on. Um, and probably clean up just some verbiage and make sure that I'm consistent with the terms, where when I'm talking about the procedure and the factors and such.
I always tell my students that, if you have any questions, ask me now, because when the bell rings, I'm not going home with you. I won't be there. So
Yeah,
ask them now before you leave. But, well, I thought they went really well. And, again, I thank you for, doing this, virtually. I left town and had to do it and wanted to talk to you about it. So thank you. I appreciate it. I thought it was a very, very good lesson. Very good job.
I appreciate it. You're welcome anytime, and I hope that I could help.